Thank you. First of all, thank you for holding this workshop today, deeply focusing on California's massive housing shortage, which is even worse in the coastal zone and doing deep harm to our state. The legislature and the governor and many local communities are working very hard to tackle the crisis. Sadly, and I'm going to be blunt here because I think we need to be in public discourse, the commission is all too often an impediment to solving this crisis. I'm just being blunt. By delaying and at times effectively blocking new housing in the coastal zone or otherwise interfering with good and carefully negotiated projects in ways having nothing to do with coastal resources. I want to stress to you the deep frustration by numerous members of the California legislature about the commission's approach toward and at times obstruction of new housing. Just yesterday, the commission interfered in what I think and others think in an extreme and unreasonable way with a 25% affordable project in Santa Monica, despite pleas from environmental champion Senator Ben Allen not to do so. The project is now more expensive. You listed that today as an approved project. Yes, it was approved, but it has been harmed and undermined. The commission and its staff at times inject themselves into housing decisions having nothing to do with coastal resources and everything to do with housing policy that is contrary to where the state has set its housing policy, including in urbanized areas like Western San Francisco and downtown Santa Monica and downtown Santa Cruz. The commission at times makes demands that have nothing to do with housing policy, such as demanding higher level percentage of affordability than local authorities and experts have determined appropriate. Respectfully, the Coastal Commission is not a housing agency. The commission needs to be, in my view, more deferential to state housing policy and to what local communities who are trying to comply with their housing obligations have determined. You can approve projects, but if it takes years and years and costs are increased, you're effectively undermining that project. I want to just end by saying we can all agree, we're in a deep crisis. I'm an admirer of the Commission's work to protect coastal resources. The Commission does some amazing, groundbreaking work, and I thank you for that. But this housing crisis is so deep, including on the coast, we have to move towards a pro-housing policy that allows us to have housing at all income levels. I ask you to please be part of that solution. Thank you so much.
To be blunt, I challenge Senator Weiner's assertions, except for the last sentence he had. Okay? This commission did not cause the shortage of affordable housing in the coastal zone. It does not obstruct projects. It is not an impediment. It is desperate to require affordable housing and has come up with all workarounds to make that happen. Okay? What you do if you follow Senator Weiner's model is you remove all oversight in the coastal zone. And as you heard from the mayor of Solana Beach, what's happening? What happens when you do that? What happens is the luxury and market rate developers who have been waiting for years to get this free pass to develop in the coastal zone, get it with ministerial permits and no review. So I challenge Senator Weiner. He is leading us down a terrible path, okay?
The senator decided to criticize us for what we did yesterday in Santa Monica. And I'm thinking, well, we approved it. What's the matter? It's 25%. But he was upset that we made it more expensive for the developer who had no problem with raising the mitigation fee for lower cost visitor serving, which is our mandate. We're not mandated to do housing. They took it away. But we are mandated to get people to the beach in an affordable way. And for him to say, oh, you just made it more expensive, that is so blind to what happened yesterday. And I want to thank Susan Jordan for the courage to stand up here and confront that kind of misleading information.
So taking away the Coastal Commission's authority to regulate housing is a horrible idea when we're trying to make sure that we're building in the correct areas and we're building affordable housing for our communities. So a couple comments that I'd like to make. Some of this is regarding the state, and I hope that maybe HCD and some of the state elected officials are still listening. But we need policies that are going to maximize affordable housing to the greatest extent possible. Following up on one of the speakers earlier, we used to have, as local jurisdictions, redevelopment funds that helped us provide funding for affordable housing. That got stripped away, just like the authority of the Coastal Commission to provide affordable housing. And we need those types of programs back so that we can continue to maximize affordable housing. We need real tenant protections. And I say this because there's a lot of folks who are on this call today saying we need more housing, but when we try to implement things like rent control, they're so quick to fund anti-rent control campaigns, which rent control is being enacted to protect local renters. Developers' incentives need to be tied to deed-restricted affordability. We have, here in Santa Cruz, we had density bonus laws, which has led to some new development. But now with eliminating parking, that was not tied to any increase in affordability within projects. So what that means is that most developers are just going to save that money, and it's going to be seen in increased profits. So as we're giving more incentives to developers, it has to be tied to an increase in affordability within projects.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Celia Solis, and I'm here representing Azul. I'd first like to thank the Commission and the Commission staff for holding this informational briefing today. The issue of affordable housing has been around for many years, and in recent years has been used as a tool to villainize the Coastal Act as an obstruction to achieving affordable housing. The Coastal Act, as originally enacted, contained enforceable provisions for the protection and provisions of affordable housing. The Coastal Commission decisively demonstrated this fact for the first 5 years of the coastal program by requiring inclusionary units to be built alongside market rate housing. Since that time, the Commission has lacked the legal authority to protect and provide affordable housing in the coastal zone, which has contributed to the widening housing gap in coastal areas. It's time to strengthen the Commission's ability to require affordable housing in local coastal programs.
I'm here because I engaged in this conversation in affordable housing in the legislature this year, and I became particularly concerned about that category of projects that was mentioned by your staff to streamline projects in a way that undermines the Coastal Act, because a basic premise that came up over and over again was that we have to choose between affordable housing and safely sited development. A case study near where I live is Bayview Hunters Point, where the poorest people in San Francisco living in the East Bay are living next to one of the most polluted spots in the country that's very exposed to toxic contaminants that will get elevated by groundwater rise. That's an example of, people being sited somewhere that's unsafe, and now we're in a massive bureaucratic problem to try to solve it. And I think this commission avoided a situation like that earlier this year with its decision in Huntington Beach to not site development next to a toxic site that would be very likely to be exposed to contamination due to sea level rise. And I just want to highlight one more area where I think this commission's nuanced, thoughtful oversight is really needed, which is the city of Pacifica, where we have low-income communities and housing that, has historically already been falling off cliffs. And we're seeing at the local level policies proposed to deal with that. One policy that comes to mind is the city saying, let's allow illegal seawall development, but if somebody's house gets flooded, then they should hire an appraiser, determine the home's value, and if more than 25% of the home's value is damaged, then they should remove their house. So you're in the worst financial situation of your life, and you should hire someone to estimate how much damage you're in, and then you should be the one to remove your house.
Hello, good afternoon, Chair Hart and Commissioners. Thank you for holding space for such an important conversation today. My name is Adriana Guerrero Nardone, and I'm the Executive Director of Salted Roots, formerly known as Brown Girls Surf, an organization that works to connect girls, women, and gender non-conforming folks of color to the ocean. As well summarized in this session, we know the legacies of redlining, restrictive deeds, eminent domain, and decades of other racist policies that have kept communities of color from living near and accessing our beloved California coast. A lack of affordable housing in the coastal zone is our society's modern day incarnation of racist and exclusionary housing policy. And I deeply believe that we must prioritize access to housing for our communities who have been historically and systemically excluded from accessing the coast. That said, we must distinguish between the difference between truly affordable housing and the luxury developer agenda. We do not need to increase profit for market rate and luxury developers that have been fighting environmental and access protections for decades. Instead, California needs policy and planning solutions for affordable housing that protect the environment and public access for everyone, the core elements of what makes our coast so special. The Coastal Commission has persistently been a champion of affordable housing despite regulations placed upon it by the legislature. And for that, we are incredibly grateful. We need to continue to strengthen the Coastal Commission's ability to require long-term affordable housing in the coastal zone and not gut the Coastal Act. Thank you for your time.